By the way, the system is zero rated. So that's the first thing you all will ask about zero rated. So you need to have data in your phone to be able to access it, but it doesn't use your data. Okay? So this is an example of Lafini. She's grade 12 in one of my schools, and that is her marks report. So what it shows is that what is her dreams, what she wants to become. I hope all of you knows what you want to do when you go after school. So our learners, when you get to the school in secondary school from grade 8, they need to say exactly what are the dreams. And you can clearly see what's a dream, but all of them have got targets. So this is their target for the year. So how does the target work? So when your performance of last year, grade 11, we add 5% to your performance and we expect you to improve by 5%. And so you can clearly see when our kids have a real target. So these targets are not nice targets like 60 or 70 or 80. These are real targets. So if you take 84 plus 5 gives you 89. But this is term 2 and term 3 results. And by the way, because we have the system in our school, it's outdated to have report cards because they can see it online on the system. What we want to actually share with you far more importantly is that you all know how important it is for you to prepare yourself by having the last 5 years question paper and memos with you, ma'am. They have to have it. How many of you have all of your 5 years of question papers and memos with you? 1, 2, 3, all of you there. What about you guys? It's important. So there are two things. One is, if you look at all of those papers, you will see the questions are similar between the years. Is that so? And those of you who can afford a question and answer book, it's about 250 Rand. And so some of you can't have that. And so the reason why we're doing it is our learners have here the exam workbook. If you press on it, but then ask, which subject are you doing? So let's do mathematics. So she's doing mathematics, and those are all exam papers available. So for argument's sake, we'll use the November paper 1, and you should know that paper 1 has got 11 questions. Do you all know that? What will question 1 be? What topic is covered there? Algebra and equation. Question 2 and 3 would be patterns and sequence. So all of these questions, the person who has set up the question paper for the end of the year for you guys cannot make up his own decision. There is an order that he needs to follow to set up the question paper. So you should know that question 1 covers algebra and equation, 2 and 3, and so you should know that. So here is an example of question 1. So as an exam paper, what the thing is saying at the bottom, what does it say? If you struggle, you need to say to them, come speak. Come read it. Come. What does it say?
Struggling with the question, click here to reveal the solution.
Click. You see what happened? What happened? So the answer is immediately next to your question. If you have your question papers, you now need to look in question 3 of the question paper, 1A, and then you need to find the memo. And so you all know when you have all the question papers, it's somewhere in the house and you don't know where you put it down. This is all the question papers that you can have. So this is what our kids, and those of you who don't have that, so our kids don't have copies of the papers, they have got access to it. So Lutini, she can go, she has got the username and password, and she can go onto the system and go through it anytime she wants to. Part of the benefit that we have is they have the TLABs, which is all of the resources in terms of, so let's take mathematics. It gives all of the videos of the different, here you can see, of the different topics that you can look for in terms of mathematical problems. So on the system, there are videos that you can go on and you can watch it, and it's about 55 minutes long for you to learn an entire chapter. So even if you missed out on some of the explanation, you can watch the video. So the difference of, so when you go to a class, you actually go to the school and watch a video. No? You guys go into the class and sit back and the teacher's performing in front of it. It's like a movie. Okay? The difference between this one is the following. That movie, which is called the teacher, you can't stop and rewind that teacher if you missed out on this. Okay? If you stop the teacher and say, just repeat that, or say, you didn't take a notice of it, you were messing around and so on, you know. The benefit of the video is that you can rewind that same thing that you don't understand 10 times and no one will fight with you where you're not taking so. And the entire focus, so the entire videos, I will show you what's going on. So our kids have got all of the videos covering all of the topics that is covered, okay? And it's available. Then, so this is what our kids have. So the first thing I want to show to you, so this is the system that we have. And so obviously to sustain a system, we sell it to us, our kids. And so when you press on to pricing, for the kids it starts with 10 Rand per month per learner, okay? 10 Rand. But just because you guys are nice today, I'm going to do something different to you. Because as you know, South African, even if you are 10 Rand, people will be looking for more money. So now I want you to open up your cell phone. So by the way, in my school, I want my kids to bring cell phone to my school. It's unlike your school. Are they allowed cell phone? Not allowed. So we use cell phone as a powerful resource to do that. So you guys have your cell phone? That's very useful. Everyone has got a cell phone, or by the way, it's not only about you who have a cell phone, it's those of you who have got access to a cell phone. You all know you have got access to the cell phone. So you don't want the cell phone forever. You can have access to 20 minutes or 30 minutes and you just watch that small piece of videos that you want to have a look at. So those of you who have your cell phone, open up, and it's called sisopen.org. sisopen.org, O-R-G, and it has to look like that. If you're into it, just put it up and show, and I'll see the blue from your side. Who's in? Who's got in? Okay. So once you're into it, press on the blue one. Are the teachers here? Are there teachers here?
Yes.
You tend to be grade 12. And you can write your name, and in the message, you say teacher. The reason why I do that, if you come onto the system and I give you permission and you're not active in it, I kick you out. And because the teachers are going to see it for the first time and you're not, teachers would not work on it, I would at least know not to kick you out because you are a teacher. Are you guys in? So that you should press on the blue, and what you'll see is it's indicating some of the multiple choice question is based on all of those subjects. So we've got, I'll show you the multiple choice questions. The multiple choice questions are for the subjects that have multiple choice questions. Like a subject like mathematics doesn't have multiple choice questions, so they would not be multiple choice questions. All you need to do is fill out your details, put in your right email, because the message is going to come back to you. And if you look at number 20, whatever street, and you put down 40, your letter will never come to you. So make sure that you've got your emails correct. So that at the end you apply for it, and you should get an email back from you. Who has applied? Who got an email back? Okay. You got an email back. What message? You don't need to say anything. The teachers will have to say, because if you're not active on the system, I kick you out. Jeboho? Whose name is it? You? Is that you? No. Is that you? Okay. There you can see your name. What I do is I accept it, and you'll get an email back. So you can see 31 of you have already submitted yours. And so you see the numbers will change all the time as I get this. So I've accepted 3 of you, but there's now 35 of you. There's now 37. Yes. Pardon? Message block. You don't need to say anything, only the teachers. Say hi to.
I think it's a quiet station.
He's quiet. She said hi. You guys are in. So we have now 37. So I've accepted 3 of you. Teboho, you got your email back? I've accepted your one. Now 57 of yours who have submitted. You guys have submitted. So guys, I can't accept you now immediately. But I think the email says in 24 hours, don't worry. I'll accept it in by this afternoon, and I'll show you what you will then be seeing and what you'll get from me. Are you with me? So it's now 57, now 60, and those of you who don't have it, when you get home or get access to your cell phone, it can come through, okay? So let's have a look what it looks like when you come out. So I just want to present pretend to be so I pretend to be so you will be in the system as a visitor learner because my other learners are part of the schools that we work in. So every year these learners get kicked out when you finish up the grade 12. So what you will see is what you will see when you will get an email first to say we got your application. Then I accept your one and you get an email to say here is your username and you need to set up your password. So I don't set up your password, the system sets up your password with you. So if you lose your password, there's always the opportunity to forget. You forgot your email and you can reset your password. As long as you know your new username. You guys know this. This is Facebook kind of same kind of stuff, okay? When you're into it, you'll get these 3. Now you can see the learners that in my system get far more than, so Mark's report and all of that. I'm not doing that. So there are 3 things. The first one is the quiz is an opportunity for you to test yourself against multiple choice questions. So if you're going to make, so your one would be empty and you'll say make new. And so if you choose, say, so maths will not be here because there aren't multiple choice in the exam of mathematics. So if you do life science, it will show that there are 523 Afrikaans questions on it. And when you change it to English, there are 626 questions. And so you can set up a quiz for yourself. You can have 10 questions and the system will mark it automatically. But once you've done it the first time, so I'm not going to make one, and so I'll give you business studies. There's 5 out of 10, okay? So the system will show you got 5 out of 10. The benefit of this is the following. When you go to the view, it gives you all of the questions, and when the red and the green is together, it means you got the answer right. But when you have the red one and the green one is the correct one, and the red one would be your incorrect one. So once you finish with it, you go back And because it gives you about 5 days to go through it, you can actually do this quiz 100 times, the same one, until you get it right 100 times. You guys at your level must be concerned not about getting 5 out of 10. You should be concerned if you don't know any. So you would want to have 10 out of 10. And you need to find out if you've got 9 out of 10, what is it that you get wrong. So this is a multiple test of the questions. As you go on, when you answer the question, on top it will tell you where the question comes from. So it will say it comes from 2018 November question paper or 27, and so you would know where that question comes from. And so the system randomly can put forward a 27, a 28, or 2019 question for you. This is the multiple. This is the first one. The second one is that you have access to is the mindset videos. So all of those videos, you will see the duration indicates to you how long that video would be. The total number of videos that will be available to you would be that amount of videos, 882 videos, okay? But when you choose your subject, mathematics, you'll see there are 205 videos available to you. So what am I saying to you? You have absolutely no excuse to blame the teachers for not doing it well. It's up to you to get your learning right. Even stuff that you missed out, you can go back to the video and you're going to have a look at it. So there are 205 videos, and the order of the videos is more or less the order of the CATS work that the teachers would have covered. The last type of videos, so you can see there are focus videos would be chapters, a whole chapter long. At the end more, you will find topic videos. When it's a topic video, it's a shorter, small, particular section of a chapter that you can go through. And some of these videos also is linked to exactly which question on the exam paper they explain it. Okay? That's the video. The last one is that exam paper I've also made available to all of you. Okay? So those of you who don't have the exam papers available, you don't need to spend time, you have access to it. Okay? And so it's up to you. It's a resource that we make available to you. It's up to you to use it. And so you can have a lot of disciplines and bananas in your cupboard, but you're walking around with headaches the whole time. If you don't take those tablets, you're not going to sort out your headaches. It's up to you to do something about it. And so we say to you that none of the other districts have got access to that for now. So that's why they are so special to us. So we came to you and you can answer. Any questions? Any questions? No question. You understand everything? Yes? Go in. You can link with your same one. From my side, I can see which device you've used. I would know whether you use a cell phone device or computer. So you can, the same username and password you can use in any device. By the way, let me tell you that anyone whom you know who's in grade 12, share it with them. Share it with them. So if it can help anyone, we don't mind doing that. Some teachers, some of you, your principals were sitting here, and somehow I got two principals from KZN log in, so I wanted to know what's going on. So they actually phoned their friends in KZN and they log in. So the system is there for you guys to be using. Any other question? The teachers always ask lots of questions. Well, when I came here, because I'm working with people that side, and these are mostly the adults, I normally make time to be here for about 45 minutes. For you guys, I knew I only need to spend 5 minutes, because that's, you guys understand it far quicker than what the principals and the teachers are doing. They were not born with the knowledge, you guys. Okay, good luck to you guys. It covers all of this stuff, and I hope that we'll see great results from all of you. Okay, thank you.
My neck, man.
Can we give Dr. Kali another hand clap? So just give me a minute, I'm sitting on quickly and we'll start.
Very good. Whatever that is doing, can spell it. It's good. I'm working on that one, why I don't have it. But I don't have my phone. You just need to have money. These people have money.
can I say to you that the opportunity you have through Sys Open is really working, right? We've seen it with our students and maybe our colleagues here. Since a group of our students have used it since the end of term one, say for one term, term two, they have gone up from term one to term two by almost between 10 and 20% in mathematics. And that is huge. Why? Because we're just doing this kind of thing that we're doing with you. Once you know something, now you actually keep testing yourself. And what is the one thing you want to see once you try a problem? Never look at the memo first, right? Always try and solve a problem on your own. Because once you do that, then you'll know what you don't know. Isn't it? If you struggle and you see there's no way, then you can check maybe and click on it, check the memo, see what they do, close, and then try the problem again. Alright? And maybe 2 days later you will try the same problem to see if you can still know how to solve it. And so the way the system is designed, you don't necessarily need your teacher with you all the time. Right? So what we're finding in our project schools is our teachers are spending more time with the learners who are struggling, right? Because the others are running ahead with their cell phones. We allow cell phones or tablets for them to use. All right? In grade 12, if you still think you want to mess around on your cell phone, then you've given up on yourself, right? It's a responsibility and accountability. And it works, right? It's been working. We can actually see if the learners are on their phone while we are busy. So if you go on the system now, Dr. Khali can sit in the other room and see, someone here is on the system already. All right? You get information in real time. And so the big focus for us for today is all around, and remember our motto? Our motto? I must know so I can do. And once you know, don't underestimate what you can do. There's quite a lot you can do. All right? And then you have to just learn the strategy and the application of how to use your formulas or how to use your knowledge. All right? All right, so we want to move to trigonometry. But before that, we haven't covered all those geometry problems, right? But what do you have? You know, and I know your teachers did it with you as well, so it's reinforcement. You now know what you must know, right? So that you can do. Doesn't matter which paper you click on or which paper you want to use. You are now ready to answer any geometry question. Are some of them going to be easy? Yes. One or two of them going to be difficult? Yes. Right? But when there's a 4-layered question, say question 1A, 1B, 1C, 1A, B, and C are normally easy. And that's where you must score. Don't worry about the E, the D, and the E that you can't solve. All right? That will take care of itself. Make sure you use your knowledge to get all the easy and medium questions right. And then you cannot get less than 50%. All right? And that's how we want to target and talk about the things that we do. All right, so we're running obviously tight with time. So we're going to tweak one or two things so that we still cover the gist of what we need to do. Okay, so let's see. So under the trigonometry, you heard what Kakali spoke about, the questions, right? And I'm glad some of you already know there's 11 questions in paper 1, all right? Similarly, there are 10 or 11 questions in paper 2, all right? And you need to know which question is focused on trigonometry. And there you can see there are three questions, question 5, 6, and 7, right? Question 5, if you go through papers, past papers, question 5 will be around all the general trigonometry, right? Your identities, your sketches, your use of calculator, your compound identities, special angles, reduction formula, all of that, all right? That will be in this question 5. Then you have a question 6. What do you think is question 6? Question 6 is, what do you think? I'm sure some of you have already worked through some problems through past papers, right? Question 6 is your trig graphs, right? You have trig graphs. And then, of course, you have question 7, which is the solution of triangles or heights and distance problems that we talk about. Okay? And that will give you a sense of where you can also score easy points. So, in terms of trigonometry, it's basically a Greek word that, if you break it up into different parts, that's what you see. I remember when I was teaching, a lot of students made fun of this thing here. You know what this line called? And so they used to call it the hypotenuse in terms of that longer side of your right angle triangle. But basically, trigonometry is about the angles and with its relation to its side. So we can deal with a right angle triangle, but we can also deal with other triangles. All right? Can any of you solve that for me? Solve, okay, if it's equal to 1 plus sine x over n. All right? And the reason I'm just asking you that question is to see if any of you are suffering from the most dreaded disease in grade 12 or in any grade, by the way. You know what's a dreaded disease in mathematics? Right? We know what it's in medical terms, but what is it in mathematics? That dreaded disease. Right? Have you ever heard of canceritis? Have you heard of canceritis? As soon as students see they can cancel, they are very happy. And so there's a solution. So K is equal to 7. You see how canceritis makes life easy for us? Right? If you see anything that can cancel numerator, denominator, just draw a line through it, and then you can solve very, very easily. Alright? So K is actually equal to 7. If you believe that, you will see this stuff. Okay. Basic understanding of trigonometry. Again, you all know that. And by the way, there are more answers at this moment. It is cancel, and therefore this answer is 6. Alright, so that's obviously things that you shouldn't be doing. Right? You can't just cancel stuff. Right? You need to know why you're canceling, and then also make sure how you cancel that it's correct. So I want to spend a little time just on that slide, because it's a very important one in our general understanding of trigonometry, and it's where a lot of students get confused. All right? So if you look at this triangle here, say that's an angle of 45 degrees. You can see each time the angle is getting smaller and smaller and smaller until there is an angle of 0 degrees. You see that? But what happens if you have an angle of 0 degrees? It simply means that your I almost said hypotenuse. Your hypotenuse coincides with your adjacent side. Do you see that? This side kind of sits on that particular side. So for 0 degrees, these sides sit on top of each other. And one can have actually a very good conversation, which I had, I think, yesterday with the teachers, and I like having with the students. But we're not going to have that just because of time. But it's important for you to know you can draw a triangle. If this angle is 0 degrees, then the opposite side is what? If the angle is 0 degrees, then what must the value of the opposite side be?
0.
Opposite side? 0, so nothing, right? Nothing. And this side fits on that. So if this length is 1, then that must also be 1. Or if it's 5, then this must also be 5. Why? Because they're sitting on top of each other. How many sides are there in a 0 degree triangle? How many sides are there in a 0 degree triangle?
3.
They are. Yes? Can a triangle have one side?
No.
No, a triangle has 3 sides. Right? So in a triangle of 0 degrees, how many sides? I know we are affected by lunch, I know that, but let's see. Can you figure it out? 0 degrees, what's the value of the opposite side?
0.
Opposite side is?
0.
Nothing, 0. What's your hypotenuse?
Equals to the base.
1, or if you want to make it 5 or 10 or 100, it doesn't matter. Then what's the adjacent side?
Base equals to hypotenuse.
The adjacent side?
Equal hypotenuse.
What's your adjacent side, guys? If your hypotenuse is 1, then your adjacent side is 1, right? So you still have 3 sides, but unfortunately one of the sides is 0, right? Here's a question. From what number does your ruler start? From 0. So 0 has value. It's as important as the number 1, as the number 3, as the number 6. It's a digit that we work with, right? So 0 has value. What's the first value on your protractor? 0 degrees. You start with 0 degrees. Then you go 1, 2, and you go over to 360 degrees if you want to, and even more if you start rotating. All right? So all I want to highlight here is that when you work with a 0 degree triangle, it means that the angle here is 0 degrees, opposite side is 0, the hypotenuse and the adjacent side has exactly the same value. So what happens? What happens if we have a 90 degree triangle? Because it's the same triangle, isn't it? Because this one here is 0 degrees. Then what's this angle? Then what's that angle?
90.
If this one is 0 degrees, then what's that angle?
90.
It's exactly the same as this one, isn't it? So you have 90 plus 90. We got up if they fit on top of each other. 90 plus 90 plus 0 is still 180 degrees. Right? I'm messing you up now, right? But in terms of the trigonometry, you're going to need to know that we work with 0 degrees and 90 degree triangles as well. Right? And we'll see how it play out, especially with our special angles. 30, you see I've got 30, 60, 45, but you include more than and 90. Alright? Okay, if we have more time, we can dig deeper in this concept of 0. The other important thing for you to know is that trigonometry is important in applications of real life. Now, there's a lot of examples. I just chose a few. In the ancient times, and even now, it's used for astronomy. You know what's astronomy? Right? Where they start measuring and looking at the stars and so forth. But in astronomy, you get the distances. You can measure distances, and all that has to do with trigonometry. The radius of the Earth, trigonometry. Finding height of hills, and this is what we always use from grade 10 already. Finding the height of hills, buildings, and trees. You know, you put a ladder from here to there, and then you ask what's the distance from the foot of the ladder to that wall, right? And because it's a right angle triangle, you know that you can solve using Pythagoras. But if you don't know all the sides, then you can't use Pythagoras. So when we have an angle in the side, that's when you use trigonometry. Navigation. If you want to become a pilot one day, you're going to need to know your trigonometry. Most defense systems use it as well. All right? And then just to mess us for now, trigonometry don't just work in one quadrant. Right? No, we got the angle rotating from north to 90, first quadrant. But then it goes further into the second quadrant, right? Then it goes further into the third quadrant, and then we go into the fourth quadrant. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 quadrants, and the triangle can pop up anywhere, or the angle can rotate 360 degrees, right? But just to mess you up, we say, well, we can continue and talk about maybe 700 degrees. Then it's kind of 2 rotations. We can talk about 1,000 degrees. So we need to see how many rotations we are going to do, and that's where our general solutions become important, right? You can go positively, but you can also go in the other direction, and you can work with negative angles, right? So there's really a lot in trigonometry for you to know so that you can do. Okay? So in your notes, you can check the booklet that we gave you for trigonometry. It starts with this one. Right? Just check. I want you to go through it in your book because then you can see it better. And what I need you to do, what I would like you to do, for the next couple of minutes, you go to this block, right? And you see, what is the knowledge? What do I need to know here? Do I know that? Do I know what the sine ratio is? Do I know what the cos ratio is? Do I know what's the tan ratio? And if you know that, if you must still go look it up, that's a problem, right? But if you know that, then you can put a tick there. I know that. All right? I don't have to worry about if you ask me for sine of theta, I know sine of theta is opposite over hypotenuse. You with me? Tan of theta is equal to opposite over adjacent, right? So you know those ratios, so you make a tick there. How do you apply it? In this case, I haven't done all the same, but how do you apply them? You can have a building, a ladder, and there's your ground. All right, do you understand how to solve it? Can you solve that kind of problem? And that's the application next to it, right? So a ladder that is 15 or 16 meters, can you solve it? And you can try to solve it. But don't solve it now. Just ask yourself, do I know how to solve it? Yes or no? If you yes, then you put a tick there. If you're not sure, then you put a cross there, right? I must just check this thing again, because this is stuff that I must know. Here, can you apply it? You understand what's happening here in terms of the application. If you follow every detail there, you understand it, you tick it. All right? Then you do so with the other boxes as well, right? Check each of these. Do you know your special triangles? And this is the solution, right? But don't look at this here. First ask yourself, do I follow 45 degrees, sine of 45 degrees is 1 over root 2. So I want you to take the next 5-7 minutes to check through each of his I must know, so that you can then tick what you do know and what you don't know. And then after 5 minutes, we'll ask the facilitators just to check with you around where any misunderstandings are, so that when we start using it now for the application, which we'll do soon, you at least know what you don't know, and the facilitators, our teachers can help you with that very, very quickly. So we'll take 5 to 10 minutes maximum, all right? All right, go through those, I must know you very quickly, tick off what you know, and we will help you with the ones you don't know. And once we're happy with that, then obviously we'll do some application. All right? All right, so you have that, but also do the second one, right? We are two of them. So check each of them. And the facilitators will give you a few minutes and then just check your seat. All right, colleagues, our facilitators. One of the key things that I found moving around the different provinces, these, I must know you, is linked very strongly to grade 11, right? And we know grade 11 for you guys were abnormal, was an abnormal year, right, with COVID and all that. So one of the things I think we need to do is just to make sure that those basic stuff is in place so that we can answer some of the general questions that's linked to grade 12. So just spend some time with the different groups to make sure that they understand what's happening on there, especially the reduction formula and some of the identities as we move into the compound identities. All right? So take some time with that and then we'll do some application. But give them a chance to really get into how they need to use it to solve the problems, and then the problems we do together. Okay? All right, 4 more minutes and then we'll start, okay? Doing some application, so make sure you've gone through it. All right, level 7. Let's look at, I think it's page 8 or 9, just check. But that's the first thing that we will look at, all right? That's the 2015 paper, question 5. Now remember, after this, you have to keep going through those things that you must know and tick off the ones you really know well and confident with, all right? But let's apply that knowledge that we have to the first couple of problems there, 5.1 and 5.2. We'll give you a couple of minutes. Our facilitators will check in with you and they will do the solution together. So just think of it and they will do it together. Just 5 minutes. All right, level 7, I think you know, some of you have already dived into the problem and started. I just want to highlight one or two things and then you can check the solutions, right? Now, most of question 5 will give you something to that effect, right? In this case, it's sine of 23 is equal to the square root of k. And it's without a calculator, so that's already a hint, right? It means you can solve it by means of a sketch, all right? But a lot of students struggle with the following. They forget that square root of k, or the number 5, is a fraction. Did you hear what I said? Is a fraction, right? Every whole number can be considered a fraction because there's a denominator that we don't always write. So when you see the square root of k or any number, you need to know you can put it over 1. And the reason for that is because you're working with ratios, you can immediately say that the sine of 23 is always, or the sine of theta is always opposite over hypotenuse, right? Opposite over hypotenuse. So this is opposite, and this is the hypotenuse. And then you can draw a sketch, for example, right? What's your sketch? Opposite side is the square root of k, and this will then be 23 degrees, right? And the hypotenuse is 1. And then you can find the third side by Pythagoras, right? And once you have a sketch, then you can start solving some of the problems. Because what does 203 mean? What is 203? It means that the angle has rotated into which quadrant? Into the third quadrant. And how do we define the third quadrant? If you check through your, I must know, it is defined as 180 plus something, right? The second quadrant is 180 minus something. Alright, and in this case, it will be 180 plus 23. So you draw that same sketch, but you draw it in the third quadrant. Alright? Okay. Now continue with some of the others, and then I'll share some of these solutions and you can check. Alright?
Is it 30 degrees minus x? But the definition of another 30 minus x. Another 30 minus x. Fx, where fx. It is so go well over equal index. Go back. We shall not sin a plus a minus a and a. You see, take this, take the whole thing as your a. This is your b. This is your a. This is your b. You get it. Go back. Well over.
All right, level 7, just look up here. I know our teachers and facilitators are helping you. That's absolutely brilliant. There are also some little pitfalls for you in some of the exams, right? So I want you just to check here for 1 minute, 1 second. Now, a lot of you may know your compound identity, isn't it? Are you all with me? Sine alpha plus beta is equal to sine cos beta, sine alpha times cos beta plus cos alpha sine beta. So you know that, right? Because that's what your toolbox is giving you, or that's what they will give you in the exams. What you need to know is this goes both ways. We can give you that, then you must give me this. But I can also give you that.
Sorry for disturbance. Come on, train it again. Okay, train it big five in the issue. Okay, whenever we are at the level, yeah, we catch it before the next question. Just take that role, just I say we have. Thank you.
All right. So let me just highlight this, and then you can continue, because that's kind of the one area where a lot of our students get stumped. All right. So you've got the formula. It works both ways, from left to right or right to left. Now they actually give you this, isn't it? But you must be able to see the relationship. There's sine cos, right? Plus cos sine. So clearly this has something to do with that. And all you need to do is identify what alpha. So this here is alpha, and this here can be greater. Alright? And then we're working back to that. So this that they give you is simply equal to sine 13 minus x plus x. And if you know that, it makes that one very easy. Then what some people will do is break this up because they think it's that, and they have a big thing, right? Then they do the same and they have a big thing, and then it messes you up. Alright? So remember your identities, especially compound identities, goes both directions, from left to right or right to left. Alright? And again, we're putting the solutions up, so once you know you've done it, you always check up there and see what times make it bigger. Alright, there we've made it a bit bigger for you to see, 5.2. And again, if you're not sure of anything, our teachers, facilitators are here to help.
Que no me get tired.
Just note, those of you who did it the long way, you can do it. It will still give you the right solution, but then you must just work correctly. So we put that up there as well for you.
But your guideline is I think our main thing or the main scientific one take hospital change Boyasa yeye mtu bali scientific kama kata change I don't know what to tell you today when you go change your one mission you have to one of those one is travel, one is fine, and then one is fine. You come something. And that is by what?
why it's easy to get that right? 100%. Because you can then check and find where the problem is. So where do you think is the problem? Is that what you're doing? You're not saying that, that's how you determine the how does it what is it done? Did you? What is because of the fishes. And which one is lacking? And how do you know that they're lacking? And then how do you find it? And how do you find it? And how do you get it? How do you get it? I want you to tell me that I'm listening. No, I don't want you that to say that I'm sure. Tell me why you're saying I'm sure. Let's look here. You put a big bracket there, you're closing, what is in below that bracket there? Look at you. I'm not seeing that here, but I'm seeing it there. What is here, what is in here? The reason I'm saying this, when you go to market, we get time, like you. So if I see things like this, and the one making a point, very much to hide as things you understand. The important is that you say, if this information is out, you need to show. If this is not important enough, you need to show. Give up. That's what you have to help yourself. nyaka kuche di or nyaka koromera di
Oh, come on. You said you were the idea.
All right, level 7, please make sure you do the last one, 5.4 quickly. You might be busy with it, but make sure we're giving you 2 more minutes, and then I just need to move on quickly. All right?
Smart. So the remember say to WhatsApp. Yes. Now again, which is our relationship to WhatsApp and Bluetooth. WhatsApp is another exchange number. 07 3 5 6 8 7 Mapule. Espera que não vou WhatsApp ou na WhatsApp. Isso? Ué, não, mano. Só profile. Estava aqui na frente. Esse é o Esse é o Deixa eu ver. Como assim? Vai chegar a massa. Como é? Vai ser na Aí fica pronto. China, China. It's very simple. Whenever there is such
All right, table 7. So, I love the way you guys are working and the way you are being supported. I think that's absolutely great. But obviously, time is also running away with us, all right? So I want to highlight just one or two things. If you go back to the question 5, right? If you go back to the question, I'm going to go back now. You got that question there, right? Just check in your notes if you can't see. What I want you to pick up from this session, I know a lot of you struggled with some of those 4 or 5 questions, right? Because there's a lot of intricacies and complexities in the problem itself. All right? And we may not have had all the time to sort that out with you. But can I show you, if you look at the patterns of how papers are set for trigonometry, it's very, very similar, right? So just check with me. You can see there's something general around using the sketch. Then you have this where you use your identities for some of the negative angles. You have the complementary ratios. You have the compound identities thrown in there. You have a general solution. You always have a general solution. And by the way, you shouldn't worry about the word general solution. You just solve this normally, and the general solution just pops up at the end, where you add a 360 in or a 180 in if you're working with tan. Why 360? Because the period of your sine graph is 360 degrees, right? So that's why you just add 360 in. For your tan, your period is 180, and that's why you add 180 in. But again, here you will have compound identities fitting in here, right? Because you're working with sine 3 theta, and there's no formula for 3 theta. So you have to, hold on guys, there's a lot of people still talking. Right, thank you. Alright, so again, sine 3 theta, you'll have to break up into sine 2 theta plus theta, and then you have your double angle formula. Alright, so that's question 5. But I want you to look, that's for 2015. Look at the pattern. Here you have, and you can turn to it, to 2021, which is also question 5. Very, very similar stuff. Right? So once you've gone through this again, then you try question 5. It's exactly the same skills that are being tested, except the numbers and the angles are slightly different. Right? That's question 5. Then, if you look at another question 5, different year 2016, exactly the same thing. So there's a pattern that you need to check through. And as you go through it, you need to see how you can get marks